So welcome to another edition of TFL Talk. As always, on my left is
Nathan.
And more importantly, on my right is
Emmy.
And today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to be talking about the top 10 worst American cars from the last 40 years. And Nathan, I'm going to let you start with number 10.
Well, that's easy. That's easy. The Pontiac Aztek. Now, I know a lot of you guys saw Breaking Bad and you're like, oh, that was really cool. In the show. No, it wasn't. The Pontiac Aztek, I feel, is actually the death knell for Pontiac because it proved that an automaker could produce a vehicle that's so ugly and so useless, and frankly, it started the end for Pontiac. That's what I think about it, and you know what? I'm not alone on that.
Emmy?
Yeah, I mean, I feel once I saw it on Breaking Bad, I was like, oh, look at all those cool chases and car chases that he's doing on here. But damn, is that an ugly car?
But before it ever showed up on Breaking Bad, I remember seeing it on one of the very first episodes of Survivor.
No.
It was it was the prize that the Survivor got. And I remember when they brought the Survivor out and they showed them the Pontiac Aztek, they were like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to the jungle. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna go spend the night over there, not in the campy thing that's a car. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, basically they took a minivan, they tried to make it rugged, and they did everything wrong with it.
All right, number 9. And this is a double winner.
Winner, bingo.
Winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, the Ford Pinto or the Mustang 2,
Yeah.
which basically was a great nameplate, great name, Ford, Mustang, Pinto, right? That whole horsey thing. And then they took this powerful first pony car and turned it into, what the hell was that? An economy car that blew up when you hit it from behind?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that a lot of people don't know that the Mustang 2 sales were huge. So at first it was very popular, but it was cramped, it didn't perform very well, and even the one that Farrah Fawcett drove in Charlie's Angels wasn't that fast. They were kind of, well, they lost their luster.
All right, Emmy, number 8.
Number 8, the Chevy Vega. And you know, I've got actually a personal connection to this because my college boyfriend drove a Chevy Vega, and I remember coming home one night and he had taken a skill saw to it and made it a convertible.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was great.
Sexy.
He was real smart. That guy he was real smart. And the edges were just, of course, you couldn't touch it. You would cut your hands
off,
immediately.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the whole thing just went koosh, like 5 days after he did that. So I kind of have some bad memories associated with the Chevy Vega, but.
And you got number 7, Nathan.
Yeah, the Chevy Citation II, or actually just the Chevy Citation in general, which was one of General Motors' first real front-wheel drive economy cars. And my father made me buy one after he caught me racing. And it was a very used one too. And for those of you in Southern California who remember seeing large oil slicks on the highway.
That was you.
Sorry. Yeah, the Chevy Citation II was just overloaded for a small 4-cylinder or even the V6. And it was ugly and it didn't handle well and it was just a terrible car.
It's named after a parking ticket.
Yeah, why would you call your car the Citation?
Well, I mean, it's like, well, say Chevy's doing that still, the Avalanche. Who wants to name it after a natural disaster?
You know, I could see that product planning meeting. We need a car for a nameless bureaucrat sitting in some building somewhere. What do we?
Let's write up something that, yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to say the number 6 car is the AMC Anything. All right, except maybe the AMX cars, those are pretty cool. But let's face it, the Gremlin,
The Pacer.
the Pacer, the Javelin to some extent, even the Matador.
Oh, the Matador.
I hope we get some kickback from all of you. I'm sorry, those were all wannabe muscle cars, wannabe economy cars.
The Gremlin was so horrible. It looked like a hatchback, but it wasn't really a hatchback. Just the glass came up. It was painfully useless.
Well, once again, named after a nasty little character in fiction, right? MC Troll.
How many times have you been fixing your car and you're like, man, I got to chase down these gremlins. It's making this electrical system not work. Then you just think that whole car is just full of them, and it was.
Well, it was done in the 70s, and they were on some serious drugs back then, obviously.
I'm surprised they didn't come up with the AMC Orc, AMC Troll, AMC Hobgoblin.
I actually think that was on the list later on.
All right, I mean,
So we're number 5, the GEO Metro. I'm sure some of you guys remember this, the little 3-cylinder. Yeah, it would get like 50 bajillion million miles to the gallon, but it would only go like, downhill, because it would only go like 45. And I remember when I turned 16, my parents took me to a used dealership, and there was a GEO Metro there, and I got into it, and I closed the door, and it's like the whole thing just like fell apart as soon as I slammed the door. It was terrible.
once again, it was American car manufacturers trying to build an economy car,
Yeah.
and then somehow conflating, fuel efficient with cheap, right?
Right, and I think the tires were like this wide or something. Oh, it was awful.
All right, Nathan, you go number 4.
The Chevy Aveo, which I think is one of the more modern cars on this list.
Yes, and Korean cars.
Yeah.
Even though it says Chevy.
Yeah. Well, the Chevy Aveo was a really bad idea because what it did is it took the whole brand and it just made them look bad. And what it did later on is a lot of people are now looking at the Chevy Sonic and saying, oh, well, that's just a new Aveo, and it's not. It's a much better car. But you have to outlive that reputation. So, such a cheap, poorly designed car that, it got good mileage, and you can still find them in rental fleets, but folks, it was just a really bad idea.
So I'm going to tell you a story right now. My very first job out of college was working as a TV reporter for WIFR TV in Rockford, Illinois. And I remember after a full year of working, my boss called me in her office and she said, Roman, you're doing really great. And I go, thank you, Arliss. And she said, I'm going to give you a promotion. I'm going, great. I'm going to give you a raise. I'm going, great. So I'm going to pay you $4.85 an hour instead of $4.50 an hour. And I was
Was
like,
this like in the early 1900s?
no, this is not that long ago. and I was like, thank you, Arliss, because they were paying my rent, and I had a Chrysler K-Car station wagon to drive. So I have a lot of experience with the Chrysler K-Car. So anything Chrysler K-Car. They were terrible cars. I know Leon Coca saved the company with the K-Car. They were built in Belvedere, Illinois, which is actually a part that I covered because it's near Rockford. But they were just really badly designed, badly made, badly executed cars in any way possible. And mine had action news all over it. It was just so embarrassing.
Not a very pretty car either.
All right.
All right, so we're at number 2 with the Ford Granada, which actually I don't know too much about. So can you guys fill me in on how crappy this car was?
Yes, it's like a Mercedes C-Class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
There's a commercial where this couple comes out and there's a Ford Granada next to, I think it was a C-Class Mercedes.
And they pick the Ford. They're like, oh, I love this. Oh, Harold, this one's so much better, and it's got the Ford badge.
No, they couldn't tell the difference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they thought the Granada was a
Granada.
Granada. Oh, what the hell?
It's a
Granada.
That's okay. Well, the Granada and some of its cousins, like the Ford Futura Fairmont, were not very good cars because they were basically relatively large on the outside, very tiny on the inside, poorly built, poorly designed. They didn't run very good. You don't see many on the road anymore. And, well, frankly, they're just crap. I can't even, they're just crap.
Yeah, they're just crap.
Bad.
And number 1 has the special distinction of being a whole category of cars, not just one car. And this category is pretty much any American luxury car that was made after the fuel crisis, right, in the 70s when we had oil troubles and we had oil lines. The American car manufacturers decided to take these big American Eldorados and Continentals they were making and shrink them down. Or the other approach was they would take a European car and import it and make it into an American luxury car. So let's start with that one. Remember the Cadillac Cimarron?
Yes, I do. My mother had one. Here's the funny part. My sister had a Chevy Cavalier. My mom had the Cadillac Cimarron. The Cavalier and the Cimarron are the same car, except for the Cadillac has heavier materials and power seats and everything else, so it was actually slower than my sister's car. Garbage, terrible car. And one of the biggest problems with it is the fact that you were basically buying a Cadillac, well, garbage. I can't even put a happy face. You know what it was? Adding $10,000 to basically buying a really crappy Chevy.
So, our last year project car was the Lincoln Continental Mark V from 1976. Now you look at that same car a few years later.
Oh, yeah.
It went like from the size of oil tanker to the size of a dinghy. They kept all the chrome and they just made it tiny and inconsequential. So any of those Continental eras. Remember the Cadillac Alante?
Yeah, now there's going to be an argument out there with some of you. See, the Cadillac Alante was ridiculous. They would take the body, and that was imported from Italy because that's where it was built, and they would bring it over here to the United States on a specially built airplane, and then they would throw in the V8, and actually the first North Star V8 was, I believe, in the Elante. So there was a lot of good, and then they just charged a ridiculous amount of money for them, and they were all basically red. I mean, they were. It's like red was like the main color, and they were way overpriced because of all the things they had to do to get it over to the States, and they weren't really that good to drive at all.
And I mean, not to be outdone, Chrysler also did their import job with the Chrysler
TC by Maserati, which was like in the late '80s, early '90s, and it looked like a LaBaron.
It looked just like an
Yeah. And but you could get it with a 5-speed manual, which is kind of cool. But you could also get it with the 3-speed automatic. A 3-speed automatic. How is that even possible?
Yeah, I remember seeing one on the road, and the only way I was able to tell the difference is that it had like a little round port window, as opposed to the regular one on the LaBaron. It was just a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And you know, the scary part is, out of this list of what we considered, and we lived through these terrible cars, some of these cars are going to become classics, right? I have no doubt that the AMCs are going to become classics, or are.
Oh, yeah. No, they are. I would say
The
they
Chevy Vega, there's a Cosworth version, which is huge. It's a big collector.
Isn't there something with the meaning of Vega in Spanish?
No, that's the Nova.
Oh, it's
because
the Nova.
Nova means it doesn't go.
I forgot the Nova.
Yeah. Chevy Nova.
The Dodge Dart. That's the one we
The old Dodge Dart, folks.
Yeah. So some of these will actually, people have a certain affinity to these crappy cars, and I bet that one day they'll become, especially like the Aztek.
Well, right now, the guy, the one in the TV show.
And you know that there's somebody polishing their Chrysler TC by Maserati in the garage and taking it out on Sunday. So I apologize to you, whoever you are, but sorry.
It takes all kinds,
Yes.
It certainly does. Folks, do us a favor. If you have a choice, put it down below. Let us know. Go ahead and write it up. Let us know what you think is important.
Because I'm sure we've forgotten a lot of
Oh, I know we've forgotten a lot of cars.
As always, this is...
Hey, it's Emmy.
And
Nathan.
saying thanks for watching. Check out
TFL Car.
and subscribe for a new car video every day. Ciao.